Hello. We're a couple minutes late. Sorry. Timing's all off since we changed everything around here on the computer. So, Christian Bradley for the Game Institute's live training. And I'm going to get hit with feedback here in just a second. Let me get this. Let me get this. Hello. We're a couple minutes late. Sorry. Everything. Timing's all off since we changed everything around here on the computer. Yeah, I'll get it. I get it. So, there we go. All right. Knew it was one of them. Got a lot of choices here for stuff to turn off and on. There we go. Okay. So, I think, Dale, you can let me know as long as the sound's still on there. We've changed our sound setup all over here. Now we have a sound card, so I'm hoping that doesn't affect the sound out. I'm pretty sure it won't. And we have better sound audio through no fault of my own. That was accidental. That had something to do with my motherboard sound. Was not behaving right. I thought it was the fans in the background, but turns out it was something on the motherboard, some sort of conflict. That got resolved. So I think we've got our sound now figured out. I hope. I think. We'll see. Just a second. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about edge flow, and the main concern, we've talked about edge flow quite a bit before, is in areas where we're getting a lot of stretching with our animation. And still getting set up. I'm trying to talk at the same time as I'm getting set up here. Something's not set up here right. Okay. Okay. So here's what we're trying to do. And let's get our guy lined up here. There we go. So, for instance, here in his shoulder, this area here, obviously a lot smaller than that area. That area there. Come on. And so what happens is when we get our animation working, this area is going to bunch up quite a bit. So it's going to kind of scrunch up when he raises his arms. This area down here is going to expand. You can barely see that, but it's going to expand out. So it's going to kind of swing that way. And what we want to do is we want to get edge loops in here so that it can accommodate all that scrunching and stretching. Because if we look at this area down here, it's not really going to stretch very well. There's just nowhere for the polygons to go. And up here, it kind of looks like it would scrunch up okay. It's not going to. but this polygon here needs to be divided. So what we end up with is we need to, well, we got to clean all that up. So turn off my grease pencil there. Okay, let's go in here and see what we have to work with. Oh, and I should mention we're also going to be dealing with this area down in here. Same thing. All right, I'm going to turn off my see-through mode here. Okay. And it looks like if we put an edge in here right about here, that certainly makes sense. So that one's easy. See, there's a little bit of a zigzag over here. Not sure what's causing that. It's got a weird little polygon in there. Oh well. It's not really our concern right now. And we also need one up here. And this one I don't think is going to go all the way around. See how it's going to terminate right here. So let's take a look at how we can fix that. We can either leave it because that just makes that into a quad. It does look like this could be cleaned up here. If we're going to make that a quad. Do we have yeah, okay. Checking to see if mirror was on. We've also got this guy here. He can be scooted over a little bit, I think. Alright. And so now we've allowed that to kind of bunch up a little bit better. Might even want to add another edge loop right in there. So that now he can really move his arm around once we get this guy rigged. I'm going to move these over. Something like that. So see how that's going to let his arm move a little bit more. It's kind of like a slinky coil in there, or a flange that's going to allow movement between this big kind of stiff part over here and this stiff part, but right in there you're getting a lot of movement. And if you raise your arms up and down, you'll kind of see what I mean. You can put your hands in the air like you just don't care. There you go. Have yourself a whole party. Okay, down here's the same thing. This one's probably going to behave a little bit better. If we hit Control R, and we can put one in there. By the way, when you're putting these edge loops in, you can smooth them out a little bit if you want to inflate that edge out. And we're probably looking at right in here. Now you can see here, this one's going to behave a little weird. Trying to see where we want that to go. That's not bad. I think we could live with that. See here in his back, he's got this edge loop here we could get rid of. That's a little bit too close together. So anywhere you're going to have that kind of movement, where you've got, it's really the skeletal part is what you want to care about, but there's a bone here. Here, let's use our grease pencil for this. There's a bone right here. Oops. It'll draw up here. probably deleted my I deleted my layer. There we go. There we go. I keep going back to my max settings in my head with this grease pencil. Alright, so let's erase all this. Okay, and so what we end up with is, not Shift D, you've got this large bone right here in his arm, and then you've got these other bones down here, something like that. And even though they're not connected, this area right in there, which if we go through our characters right about there, that needs that extra edge. And here's the problem. If I draw an inside view, so imagine this is a cylinder. There's one part of his arm. Here's the other part of his arm. Not my best drawing ever. And so this middle piece here, you could see, kind of assume it's two tin cans, and there's nowhere for the polygons to flex. So what we have to do is kind of fill this in with some radiating polygons. And it's going to act like a rubber flange between two pipes, basically. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's hit Control R. And what I'm going to do is slide this right down there on that arm. So see how the inner part of his arm pretty close together so that these can move. The outer part of his arm over here, we're going to make much wider. All right, that's pretty good. And what will end up happening is, move these down a little bit. So his elbow, I'm going to pull this polygon out right here. That's his elbow. When this arm moves, it's going to flex, but believe it or not, these guys right here aren't going to move much. And that's because it's rotating on that point, kind of like that's the pivot. These up here are going to move, and so we want to give them, we don't want to give them a whole lot of space to move around. And you're probably better off if you just push them down pretty close to each other, like so. These aren't perfect, but yeah, you get the idea. Oops. So see how these real narrow right there, that's where it's going to pinch together the most, because we don't really need it to do anything but pinch together there. Back here, these are pretty far apart because they're going to continue to move far apart. Turn that off for a second. Now, you don't need to worry about this technique so much for something like his neck, which is a great big structure. Think of like a snake that's going to bend fairly evenly. It's not really needed for that. It's just in areas where you're getting a lot of flexibility between two areas that aren't flexible at all. Knees, let's check out his knees. That's a good idea. Knees, ankles, elbows, shoulders, mouth. Yeah, it's the same thing here with his leg. If I was to animate this part back here looks pretty good. But this part here, between this point and that point, that's way too big of a span. So as his leg would come in, this is all going to collapse down on that point. On those points, I should say. And so what we'd probably want to do is come in here. We add another edge. Remember, we can pinch it down here in the back. Something like that. And now this edge right there on his kneecap, that edge will pretty much stay put and allow everything else to bend. Here's another one right here. Probably could do the same thing. Now, you could probably guess some of this is all based off of how you choose to model it and what's going to animate and what's not. It's basically just playing those properties of polygons that we've talked about in the real early classes, where the polygon itself is a fairly stiff structure. It doesn't bend very well, especially from side to side. But if you chop a polygon in half, so you put an edge down the middle of one polygon to make two polygons, well, then clearly it's going to bend like a book. Well, here we're just kind of taking advantage of that trick and forcing some polygons not to bend, like up in here, or not bend as much because there aren't as many, and then put more polygons where we would want it to bend. So yeah, pretty nifty little trick. Let me open up a file, the file that I actually did finish this on. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Is this it? Or is it? See if this is it. Let's turn off that. Yeah, pretty much. This is the model that we're working off of for animation. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few edge loops in here. Just to get this guy ready to go. that procedural editing is pretty good for this, because it'll really let these parts and pieces kind of move together. You can see that one's really spiraling up there in a weird way. I don't know that we're going to add that one. I'm going to fix a few things here in the mesh while I'm in here. Just has a few too many triangles here for my taste. Okay, so he's getting closer and closer to getting his sculpt in. Looking pretty good. Let's go ahead while we're here and add his hands in. Let's see what we've got to deal with here in his hands. see it's going together pretty well. There's just a few more loops in his hand, which we'd probably expect. Let's see if we can make this work pretty much all the way around. Almost got it right. I think we ended up with one extra. There's that phone again. Yeah, we got one extra here. This guy will have to go over here. Alright, so there's his hand is in there now. Let's grab a few of these. Might as well clean it up while we're here. We're going to pull out his palm. I gotta hold it. There we go. Okay. And a little bit more touch up here at the top. Okay, we'll add a extra loop here and there so that he'll be able to move his hands. Alright, so it's looking pretty good. Some of that hand shape we're going to have to fix in sculpting. So, he got fixed up pretty well. And I think the next time we see Froggy here, he will be ready to go for the next step. So let me hop over to the chat room here, see if anybody had anything to say. Well, Dale says the sound's good, so I assume the sound is good. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with sound, but something got fixed when we switched over to Windows 10. A few new things got broken, but I think we've fixed them all up now. Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we're going to need to UV map this guy. We also have to do his little dewlap thing here. Now let's try to do that now, since we've got time. I got about 5 minutes. Let's see if we can do that in 5 minutes. Let's take these pieces here. Okay, how are we gonna split this up? So we gotta jump over here, all the way down to about there. Okay, so we'll re-engineer some of this here. Do that. And we'll do that. Okay. So now he's just got this big gap here. Is that about enough? Let's see. Where's the side plane? Comes all the way down now. Probably one more. One more. That one right there needs to go. Alright. And let's try to do it this way. This is kind of a guess how this will work. So what we'll do is just give him... Let's just do this. Let it fill all those in. It's going to look a little robotic for a little bit here. Now that part's going to be a bit of a problem. So see how that's just spiraling all over the place there? It's not really what I wanted to do. So we're probably better off just cutting this and figuring it out later. Oops. So just kind of get this form right. Chopping it up will be easy, getting it round, but Okay, now some of this can, you know, we don't want to be radiating loops all the way up his jaw. In fact, this one here I'm probably going to take out. So what we'll do instead is try to radiate out this way. And you can see we can get some quads out of this if we do it right. So for instance, this piece right here can be dissolved, and we're left with a quad. This one. That's the one I thought. So we've got a few N-gons in here we'll have to take care of. But let's see what he looks like compared to the side plane. But he's pretty close. Yeah. Right on. That's pretty good. So that needs some cleaning up. There's some messed up mesh in there. But pretty good. Alright. Well, that will do it for our lizard man for today. That's it, this guy. Alright. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. We are back tomorrow at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time. And I will see you all then. Bye-bye.